maximize student attendance. As we heard from Dr. Fisher, there really isn't district-wide incentives, student attendance incentives. There isn't any. There is school-wide stuff that we're doing that nothing has been implemented, new strategy or program for the 11 and 12 year. So that line of the district has implemented incentive strategies to maximize student attendance, that's questionable because we have not seen the district at the district level implement student attendance incentives, gentlemen. Now, going farther, and Paul understands why we put the number a little bit higher. In these difficult budgetary times and because the district's ADA has declined the last 3 years, our office recommends the district maintain its historical ADA to enrollment ratio until certain that these strategies are efficient. Which means, ladies and gentlemen of this district, do not raise your ADA number higher until the incentive strategies that you are using are effective.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Dr. Wallace.
I've got to stop you. And Paul, listen to what I'm saying. We are a declining enrollment school district. And in any school year, when we're doing our budget, we budget the previous year's P2 ADA because that's what the state is going to pay us. So we don't have a choice. Am I right, Paul? Right. We budget the previous year's P2 ADA. The 2 subsequent years are nothing but budget assumptions.
Fluff.
That's all it is.
Absolutely agree.
So it's just something that's out there that's going to be changed when we get to that year. As an example, for 12-13, it's just an assumption.
Absolutely.
When we get ready to do 12-13, guess what? Our ADA is going to be predicated on P2 ADA, and that's what we have to budget.
Absolutely.
We have no choice.
Dr. Wallace, I don't disagree with you at all.
But I heard you saying,
what?
And which I take a little offense to, I heard you saying is that
Sorry.
we had elevated our ADA, and if I'm wrong, let me know that.
Okay.
Because that is something Kathy and I do not do.
Okay.
We don't do that.
Okay. I am just
and
reading.
I take offense to that.
Dr. Wallace, first of all, I'm trying to keep it as professional and respectful as I can. And if I offended you, please, I'm sorry. That was not my intention at all. What I'm reading is from the county that stated that these projections are higher than the estimate trends that we had in declining enrollment. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, is that fair?
Okay.
Is that fair? Okay, so that's what Paul's saying. I'm not saying it. That the projections were higher than the historical trends that we were having. So now, and so the district took that 4,250 number, and now they committed that to funding from the P2's funding, and also took that 4,250 students and took that into staffing. And what the district then did is they staffed based upon 4,250 students. Okay. Now, again, the county said that.
No, we did not. No, we didn't. ADA and enrollment are not the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
ADA and enrollment. We staffed at our projected enrollment.
Okay.
Which was lower, and I'm trying to find the number.
Well, our projected enrollment for this year was 4,401.
Okay.
And what we did is that we decreased our enrollment 3%, and when we got to the high school, we decreased it by 14%. And that's why we were, in fact, our enrollment right now is greater than what we projected.
Dr. Wallace, and I'll get to that in a second, and I'll cover that. I'm getting there. I'm getting there, Dr. Wallace.
I'm gonna keep you on
And
track.
I didn't want to upset you because I lit a fire and I didn't want to. But as we said,
Mr. Cesario.
Go ahead, Alex.
Just in respects to the person who is speaking, I would like just only clarification questions from the members of the administration, so we could kind of conserve the time that has been given, so we could adequately go through what's being presented, and then after we could go through specific questions. So I'd ask that questions be asked at the end of the presentation, please. So
I disagree with that, because if I'm following what he's saying, I want to hear staff's input as we go along, because I don't want to come back to slides and he has to fumble around for slides to go back. I'd rather have the questions be asked as we go through this process. My concern right now is we asked for 15 minutes, we've been at it for 30.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to speak that this format, I came in, I didn't know you were doing this, and if I knew it was going to go like this, I would allow you all the time you need to do this, because you cannot cover this in 15 minutes. We cannot cover this in 15 minutes, so I don't think it would be fair for us to put that time constraint on you.
He put that on, just a
Well,
reminder. I asked
yeah.
him how much time he needed.
But-
And so, did I not ask you how much you
Yes,
needed? And he told me so.
Right.
I said
did
it was
not
about
do that.
15 minutes.
Yeah,
You
I told
shared
him-
some information, so it took
Right.
a little bit longer.
So it's
But-
taking a little longer.
And let me
so-
clarify, because we have had this interactions that I think is important, that 15 minutes turned into times when we talked about the picture and we did some other things too. I would like to keep this on a flow of cordiality, civility, and of course, if you have a question, I think we need to do, this is crucial, and so you only have 15 minutes, okay?
Okay, and thank you. And moving on, the issue of the ADA is important. And however they funded the ADA for staffing and for revenue, we'll continue that and we'll move on. What we're going to now look at now is the interim report. Second page. Second page of the interim report, we're finally there. The second page of the interim report, 3/4 of the way down, with the 6th or 7th paragraph that starts with, there are some significant revenue changes. To that sentence there are some significant revenue changes that have taken place since the original budget was adopted in June, that have come to the board for approval at previous board meetings. At the beginning of the school year, it was determined that due to the declining enrollment, the district was overstaffed in classroom teachers. Okay? Now, whatever we want to talk about of the information that Paul's provided, whatever information we want to talk about ADA versus enrollment, whatever we want to talk about that, the issue is that at the beginning of the school year, the classroom teachers were overstaffed. That's what we're trying to say.
Because of the lack of the ability to do a layoff.
Okay.
So that's where that came from.
The lack of the ability to do the layoff, and let me piggyback on what Dr. Kennedy said. Dr. Kennedy is stating, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Kennedy, what she was talking about is that Governor Brown, in his budget in June, is that what we're talking about, Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Okay. That Governor Brown, in the layoff in June, in the budget in June, said whatever teachers have not been laid off, have not been given pink slips, they cannot be terminated. Is that what you're saying, Dr. Kennedy? Now,
Their second layoff window was closed.
right. Dr. Newman, my question is, how many layoffs did we give in March 15th?
Layoffs?
Yes, pink slips.
None.
None. So, as we can see, with continuing deficit spending year after year after year, and as the insurance policy of pink slips to try to help with fiscal responsibility, the district provided 0 layoffs, 0 pink slips,
Because of the
0
Because of the second
people.
layoff window.
No, okay.
Because we wanted to hold off as long as we could, knowing that this other option was given to us. We were hoping to hold on to those
In
teachers.
addition, we
And-
lost over 20 teachers. It
And-
just happened to be they didn't get a pink slip, but we still are less those teachers.
And what Dr. Kennedy is speaking of, if I may, correct me again if I'm wrong, is that what she's saying is that the district was provided an August 15th layoff as well.
The whole.
The whole state. The whole state was given an August 15th layoff as well, which means that they could have done it both ways. Most districts, to be safe, to be fiscally sound, to be fiscally responsible,